dollars for around $500,000 for each of them. Are you telling Ghanaians that that money did not suffice for the construction? Are you telling us that that money wasn't enough for the construction? The money you mentioned in the
critical
interview,
aspect of this discussion, in my view, then therefore, is gender representation. I think it would be a bit of a remiss if we have this conversation and not look at how all genders will be well represented. Despite some progress, women remain unrepresented in key decision-making roles within the creative industries. While icons like Shirley Frimpong Manson, Lydia Forson, Yvonne Nelson, Yvonne Okoro, and others have blazed the trail, there's still a lot of work to be done, in my view. We need policies and programs that will uplift women and offer them equal opportunities for leadership, funding, and international exposure. If we are serious about building a sustainable creative economy, I believe that gender parity must be prioritized, in my humble view.
Predominantly, it has a lot to do with
and he told me since December,
because this
last
is funded by
year,
the World Bank.
anybody on site working.
And so we're supposed to get additional funding to finish. That cannot have delayed, but the Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture went to Parliament to defend and said that we should give him up to Q1 2025. It will be ready. Internally, we know we want to finish before December. But for the sake of Parliament, he mentioned Q1 next year. The budget increased because of
when there was no
market prices
being done,
and so the budget increased, and so it affected how the plan that we had to finish the amphitheater, and that is why it is going to take us some time to finish. And so we made a request for additional funding. It's in the process. The moment we get it, in the next 2 weeks, I'm sure some money should come in. We'll go back to site.
Now, to your question about the digital platform that you intend to establish, what type of platforms are you? Give us more detail on that.
Okay. And so he believes in the way forward. Mahmoud Bawumia, we all know the way forward for digitalization anytime. 3 weeks ago, and so we think of audio, we think of medication, pictures or video. We think of products like fashion. The ecosystem of the art, anything that is sellable, the platform that would enable someone to sit here and sell. And so we think of audio, that is the kind of platform we are looking at. Pictures or video, people, we think of products like fashion. It is not the ecosystem of the art, anything that is sellable. Partner the private platform that would enable someone to sit here and sell. And we are still scanning, we are still monitoring the kind of platform. I've said this over and over. Gotten people, and if we say we are going to build, it is not communication, public service, 100%. We'll partner the private sector. Have tried to get this done. We've got already got an office, and we are still scanning, we are still monitoring. We still need, because I've said this over and over, monitor the market a bit further. The top companies in communication like MTN, the moment we get the green light, Airtel and the rest, have tried with the private sector. MTN Play, we've had Deezer, they've had their own challenges, and so we still need to monitor the market a bit further to see if it is still viable. And if the moment we get the green light, because we believe that, I remember years ago, the first water that was produced in Ghana
in 2020, you promised the same digital platform.
Successful.
We are in 2024, and we've not seen anything of the sort. Why should we believe that you can do it this time
over time? Because we believe that, I remember years ago, the first water that was produced in Ghana in bottled water called Aztec, that was how.
I used to just as of 2020, there wasn't a market for these platforms.
I am telling you on authority that you can talk to over time when this country was came. Why we have not done was ready to consume water and marketing, and that was how.
I used to just as of 2020, there wasn't a market for these platforms.
I am telling you on authority that you can talk to the communications companies in this country. Why manifestos are not cast in stone. Your return is not in any manifesto of the success.
So why then did you put that in your manifesto in 2020? Did you do any feasibility studies to know how feasible it was before you put it in your manifesto?
The manifestos are not cast in stone. Your return is not in any manifesto. Things change. See the success. What is relevant today could be relevant tomorrow. And it doesn't mean that the fact that you have in your manifesto If you have a vision, you must do it because something together. You still must monitor environment. The drive, micro, you put it now, and then as you go.
Showbiz Roundtable.
What is relevant today could be relevant to something, and it doesn't mean that the fact that you have in your manifesto, it means it's casting stone. You must do it because you are from it. You still must monitor environment.
Our opponent was saying something like, we've done something like the Black experience is something, and then it's going to be the tagline GH4 in December. The entire culture. We are not going to creative economy. We are looking at the bigger picture. So all of them will be our opponent was saying something like the Black Star. We've done something like the year of return, and then the GH in December. Don't worry, we are not going to destroy it. We are looking at the bigger picture. So all of them will be part and will be under the Black Star experience. Because this transformation vision aims to harness the dynamic energy of the creative economy to 1, propel economic growth, 2, forge sustainable employment pathways, 3, position Ghana as a preeminent cultural destination on the world stage. Ghana is renowned for its rich cultural heritage, vibrant art scenes, and stunning natural landscape with immense potential and untapped opportunity in the tourism, culture, arts sector. So the whole thing is to be able to create jobs, create new opportunities for Ghana. The year-round celebrations, this I want to let us understand what it means. Some of our opponents were saying that, oh, how are you going to organize events every year? It's not only about events. We want Ghana to be the tourist destination, so in every month something is happening. That's why we say year-round. The fact that you are observing or celebrating something does not mean you are doing an event. So, for example, when former President Kufuor said, Friday, wear made in Ghana, didn't we see every Ghanaian wearing made in Ghana? But why, as Ghanaians, why should we wear made in Ghana for one day? So every month we are going to do something. We are going to have the Pan-African Month celebrating heritage, history, and
the NDC, with regards to reviving the Creative Arts Fund, you have promised in your manifesto that you are going to revive the Creative Arts Fund. And this is a fund that has not been established yet. How are you going to revive something that is non-existent?
In actual fact, there's a background to it. What preceded what is becoming the Creative Industry Bill and the Act was the creation of the Creative Arts Council, which is an amalgamation of different organizations that had come together. And during that particular period, the NDC had given out a fund for industry, which was channeled through the Culture Forum to also be given to industry, for the benefit of industry. So that was the concept behind the Creative Industry Bill. That was the idea behind how we intended to enable the industry. In fact, and if you ask, and if the MPP will be objective about it, they'll tell you that the precursor, the draft document they inherited was actually what they worked on to now become the Creative Industry Bill, which was assented by the president. But as it stands now, and since it became the act, the critical airline that needs to be laid in Parliament to ensure the operationalization of the Creative Industry, Creative Art Agency, and the fund has not been done. We don't think that there's been any seriousness attached to this because it barely takes 21 days.
There is no fund.
When you lay, yes, there's no fund. But I'm giving the background. We didn't do this respectfully.
Please continue.
I was saying that I gave you a very good background where I said to you that there was existence of the Creative Arts Council, which is an amalgamation of different organizations in the industry.
And that turned into the agency later on.
Yes. But at that period, we had the fund component. If you remember the 2 million that was given to
the fund set as of that time.
Yes.
Set,
if we set aside, no.
Okay, please.
You can rebut when I'm done.
Please, the Act 1048 stipulates how the fund should
you can rebut when I'm done.
And as of now, it's not been.
We are saying to you that is the background we're coming with, where we had a fund set aside that was channeled through the Cultural Forum for the benefit of industry. And so we're saying that if the MPP government had actually even continued that, we perhaps today may have had the fund. But for us, we're saying that since that particular thing was truncated, we are looking to revive that process. Thankfully now, the industry bill had been passed, and so there's a need for us to work to lay an ally to ensure that the fund comes into existence for the benefit of industry. This is the background we come with when we say revive the fund.
Okay.
But I'm glad about one thing today. The MPP has never admitted that the Creative Arts Fund has never been in existence. They keep playing words in and around it. Today, the GTA boss and the deputy minister are up here trying to confirm that there is no fund. I'm saying to you that after 2019, in 2020, I remember I kept on telling people that, look, Year of Return is different from December in Ghana component, which has been work in progress from the late 90s. December has always been a holiday maker spot in Ghana. In fact, in 2019, when conceptually your Year of Return idea, which is based on our slave heritage and...
which was also done by NDC before he left.
Okay.
Every idea is your idea.
This is, I mean, I know.
Can you wrap up?
So that's the point. So I made to him that, look, you're the December in Ghana. We all know here in December, as far back I've known from Akwaba days, look, some of the even activities that continue to be the content that has set our December in Ghana actually even predated, even your Year of Return. So I pointed out to you that when conceptually the concept of your Year of Return, which was based on our slave heritage and the forts and castles that we had, and also having a climax period around the summer period field, you looked at it, you waited in December. When December did what it was doing, as far back we've known it, you claimed it and then called it Year of Return. Only for you to
can they respond now? Can they respond now?
No, he asked a question.
No, he asked a question.
No, you asked a question you asked. You asked me a question.
Are you not done with the submission?
I'm going to ask me a question. Yes, I'm done. He asked me a question.
But he has a question for you.
No, the question
are you asking a question? Are you asking a question?
Yes.
Okay.
He asked the question already.
No. Please. December in GH was launched in August 2019. So it was...
Live FM actually started
December in GH was launched. Live FM was dead in 2019.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Live FM was dead in 2019.
That's another thing for
I don't want to...
Since last year, one policy, one idea you actually dreamt home was to bring what we call the funeral tourism. There was one idea that you championed so greatly. Yeah. We didn't see that in the manifesto. Is this something that you've actually jettisoned?
Is it in the manifesto?
No, it's not in the manifesto.
It is not. I'm asking if it's something that he still holds on to.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes. I still believe in funeral tourism. In the month that we discussed funeral tourism as a topic, when it went viral, I remember telling the whole Ghana that one of the most popular tourist sites in Japan was their cemetery, because it is the biggest. And so when it comes to tourism, it is the prerogative of you, the person who wants to sell a product, to identify a product that you have a story to tell, that could attract somebody to want to travel to and have a purchase or watch or whatever, spend time and have experience with the product. And so we are saying that Ghanaians already travel. We travel for funerals anyway. And so why don't we add tourism to it? I still believe in it any day, any time. It is not in the manifesto because it is not everything that comes in the manifesto.
Okay, Mr. Ajima, any...
Just to add to that, I think if you look at the definition of who a tourist is by the UN tourism, anybody who is traveling outside his normal place of abode to another place for a period not more than a year. And so when you travel to a funeral in, let's say, the Volta region or in the Tamale, you don't consider yourself as a tourist, but really you are touring because you consume a hotel. You might stay in a hotel, which is part of the tourism industry. You buy food in a restaurant or a chop bar, which is licensed by the distance. So I think the whole idea was that if you take, for example, Kumasi, Ashanti region, the value chain of funerals is something that is tourism. Music, cultural troops performing, spinners, sound engineers, they are all parts of the transport services. And so what the ministry was saying at that time is that let's try
and see how we can leverage what is already happening. When I lost my mom, Honorable Mark had never traveled to that part of town before in Dunkornof. He got there. It's a journey, but that journey you consume tourism on your way. So that is the whole concept of funeral tourism. The fact that it's something that will allow you to consume tourism products, and then if there's opportunity for you to also visit tourist sites and attractions, all the better. Thank you.
MPP, to your question, kindly explain to us what the travel protocol service entails.
Okay. Generally, diplomatic passports and service passports are given to people who governments have sent to do particular projects for them. And when you have a diplomatic passport, there is a degree to which you can explain that. There's something called full powers. It means the government has given you full powers to represent the country elsewhere. And so we are going to use one relationship, international relations between Ghana and some of the other countries that have their embassies here. I think in the presentation that my brother Akwesi Agyemang did, he mentioned that. And then we're going to use our diplomatic passports and service passports. If we believe in the person going to perform out there, we believe that we can trust you and you are going to do something in the name of Ghana. Why not? We'll do that. So you have that to go.
And is this for every creative?
And also, I think we need to be quite clear. This is not something that is already not being done. There are protocol services that are offered. I mean, there are people who, when you go to destinations, for example, if you're an artist and you go to London, you have the opportunity to call on the embassy in London to offer you services. So it's not necessarily visas. When you're getting there, the embassies will be aligned with the vision of travel protocol services. So when we talk about travel protocol services, it's not just visas. We're talking about when you get into the destination, transportation, local transportation, making sure that you can meet people in authority. There's also something called the note verbal, which is reserved currently for public workers. So, for example, if somebody works in the public service or civil service and is traveling on behalf of government to, not necessarily on behalf of government, going for a program that can be represented as an official government delegation, you qualify for a note verbal under the Foreign Affairs Act, Foreign Services Act. So that is the kind of service that we want to provide so that people who are going to perform, for example.
And then we have, I think this is the first time we're having him here join us on Showbiz A to Z. Let me introduce him to you well, because usually we do this with showbiz people, but today we have somebody who is into policy to help us digest what happened last week on the Showbiz Roundtable 5th edition. So, our guests are, our 6th guest is called Professor Seydou Alidou, and he is an associate professor of political science and the head of Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana. He is Donahill Institute scholar on United States political thoughts at the University of Massachusetts in 2014. He is a visiting lecturer to 12 Master of Research and Public Policy universities in Africa, including the University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of... Okay, so... there is more to that. Yes, there is more to that. He's a big man actually, and he has joined us right here. So once we have somebody from the political science department joining us, I think we're good to go. We have a lot of time to kill today. Analyze the issue from all angles. Now let me say hi to all of them. Let me start with Uncle Francis Udoku. And you are sitting in Uncle Ken's seat.
Yeah, I'm sitting in another uncle's place today.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Good.
I didn't know Austin is not in Ghana. I didn't know.
Oh, he's been away for some time now.
Oh, okay.
He's been firing from.
Has he jackpot?
Something like that.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Great. Let me say hi to Professor Seidu. Hi, sir.
Hi, Dadzie. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, sir. Great.
So
and then let's go on Zoom now. Jesse Japan is marketing consultant, and he's also ready for us on Zoom. Hello, Jesse.
Hi, Daniel. Daniel, how are you?
Kwame Dadzie.
Kwame Dadzie, how are you? Pleasure being here.
How about
again.
you? Yeah, good to have you.
Apologies, I couldn't be there. I'm out of town a bit. So
good. But it's good having you join us on Zoom now.
Okay. Yeah, it's great.
So let me start with you then, because we're doing a review of what happened last week, the Manifesto debate on creative economy. Now, let me take your general assessment, your review, everything that you observed. Let me give you some time to do that.
All right. So I think in my view, first I'd like to commend Joy 99.7 FM for a stellar program, a fantastic program. And I'll also like to commend the participants who availed themselves for the conversation for that, which in my view was very insightful. And then I would also like to thank your producers and everybody else. And then I jump into the issues proper. Now, in my view, I think that there would have been a lot of good being done if the speakers didn't just jump into the initiatives, but the speakers probably should have landed their initiatives on the problems they had identified. Don't forget that in professing solutions, whether you intend to solve problems from an MPP perspective or you want to solve the problems from an NDC perspective, it's absolutely important that first you need to, from a strategy point of view, you need to establish what the problem is. And once you define what the problem is, then everything else then becomes easy. And so I didn't get that, because once the presentation started, they all just straight jumped into what their presentations and what their plans were. Number two for me was that I also feel that it's important for us to understand that the problems in the creative art space can be solved by framing the issues properly. And so I would have also loved if the program had been segmented adequately, where we are clear in our minds that there are four, as an example, issues to deal with. So they deal with issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. So I'll give you an example. If we both agree that a key issue is whether or not the industry must be private sector led or it should be government led, then it's my hope that in they answering the questions, then their answers will speak to it. Or as an example, whether or not the financing the industry needs should be crowded from the private sector, or government should levy citizens more to address the concerns that all of them seem to have gotten right. So again, that issue was not framed very well for me. And then number 3 was whether or not, in my view, some degree of protectionism is required. And this is a conversation that we've had on Showbiz for a long period of time. So whether, in your view, you believe in to lead is to solve, or whether you believe that it's important that the solutions that you're putting on the table should be about building the Ghana we want, the questions should have been properly answered. Again, another thing that was of concern to me when I listened to the program was that I think that some of the speakers maybe did not have read their minds to the fact that some government initiatives require multi-year thinking and multi-year planning. So it's one thing, as an example, saying that when we come to office, we will do A, B, C, D. But when you come to office and you realize that a project or an initiative has a multi-year budget implication, then it means that that project could not be finished in, as an example, year 1, year 2, year 3, or year 4. And once those things happen and you haven't contemplated on it quite properly, it becomes an issue. So as an example, they all presented a very long list. It was a very detailed list of activities. And the first question for me was, Dadzie, beyond the laundry list, what are your big ticket items? And I think for me, the big ticket items were not very clear for me when I listened to both of them. The second bit for me was that within the short to medium and the long term, which of these initiatives are important to you as a political party? So I give you an example, and this example is very clear. Like the NDC as a political party, I think, said that they want to augment the museums with virtual reality. So as an example, I think that if this is a short-term initiative, or it's a medium-term initiative, or it's a long-term initiative, it's absolutely important that they state that, because those in the creative arts spaces are expectant of delivery of results. So if you deliver a long laundry list of activities without clearly indicating in your manifesto which ones, or without clearly indicating during the debate, which ones will be delivered in year 1, year 2, year 3, and which ones have a multi-cycle implications which might be delivered, as an example, in 6 years, then it becomes confusing. The next bucket for me would be on what I call the missed opportunities. Now, from a missed opportunity point of view, I heard Mark, as an example, states that we need to confirm with the telecom companies that they were even struggling to push music. I don't know whether it's on promotion of music or it was about promotion about the streaming. And then he said that
he mentioned MTN Play. He mentioned MTN Play. Yeah.
Good. And then he said that they, as a government, were going through a test. The question for me, a test for what? And a test to validate what? Is something being built better than Deezer? Is something being built better than Spotify? So what's a test about? And I think that, Daniel, Mr. Dadzie, I didn't get a sense of what exactly was being curated. The second missed opportunity for me was both of them indicated that it's absolutely important to build what they might call a creative fund. And in building a creative fund, I think the NDC had indicated that they will build a creative fund, I think. And then the NPP had indicated that they would also build like a cultural fund. Now, the question is this. Building a fund is not enough. It's not enough to say I'm building a fund. What's important is that you need to tell the people of Ghana how the fund would be filled with the right resources. And I don't think that really came out very clearly. So as an example, we have the GETS Fund. And we are clear in our minds where the financing for GETS Fund comes from. We are clear in our minds where the financing for NHIS comes from. So when one party says we would put up a creative fund, what's the source of the fund? When another says that we'll put up a cultural fund, what's the source of the fund? And again, I'm asking this question because if you listen to the big party issues, there's a big conversation in Ghana about whether or not we need to be taxing Ghanaians the more. So the financing that will go into these funds, are they looking to introduce new taxes to pipe into these existing funds? Or are they looking to take away from existing inflows either into the NHIS or they are taking into the GETS Fund to feed these specific funds? And I think that during the debate, I was looking out for how these financing regimes will be created. So again, it's not enough just to say we're setting up a creative fund. It's not enough again to say we are setting up a cultural fund from both parties. And again, the intentions behind the fund, in my view, is brilliant. But the question is, what is the source for ensuring that there's a sustainability of good inflows into the funds? Then again, I'll move to the next thing, which is of concern to me. Again, I'm running through the areas of concern, and then I'll speak to you about the areas that I feel are very good opportunity. Again, I think that if you've listened to Marco Kreku over over the past 8 years or so, you would realize that governance is not a plug and play. So sometimes you might plan and things might not happen. And what's even worse is that if your manifesto or your ideas are hinged towards ministries you have no control over, then it's a problem. So as an example, I think Akwesi said that under the MPP, the next chapter, a commitment to airport construction, national airlines, and expansion of Kotoka car park will be key to driving tourism. The question is this initiative in the sphere of control of the creative arts ministry, or it's in the sphere of influence? Because if it's in the sphere of influence and not in the sphere of control, it means that you have no power to drive the achievement of this objective. So once you've made it a part of your manifesto for creative arts, if the transportation and aviation ministry and sector fails to deliver on this, then you will suffer as an incidental, you will suffer incidentally. So again, if you're framing the manifesto relative to the creative arts sector, it's important that you separate the things that are in your sphere of control from your sphere of influence. so that you don't find yourself addressing problems that you have no control over. Again, so now that I've dealt with the things that I feel are things that they must have watched, I can quickly jump into some of the observations that I made in the manifesto.
Please do, yeah.
So as an example, the team made up of Marco Kreku kept insisting that they would use tax incentives, including flat tax, and among others, to draw in the private sector. The question is, at the debate, I was expecting them to answer the question of how. And you see, it's not just enough at this stage. And the reason I'm saying this is that the country, we're already going through a very lengthy debate on whether or not we need to continue to be giving tax incentives. So again, who are these tax incentives going to be given to? Are they being given to Ghanaian-only businesses? So again, you remember earlier I had mentioned that maybe we need to be a bit protectionist so far as some sectors are concerned. So are there specific businesses or activities or initiatives that we would use the tax incentives to actually influence the market to come for? Again, I'm not sure I got that really clearly. And then you might get also the point about the flat rate. Again, I don't mind the flat rate at all, except that the flat rate is part of the general build-up of what the party wants to do. So I think that's in the right track. But I guess my big ticket item is that the incentives we want to give to the private sector, what's the basis for the incentives? Who do we want to give it to? What sector do we want to give it to? Then they make the point about visa application fast-tracking for foreigners to come into Ghana. I don't want to belabor that point because I think that it's important to drive traffic into Ghana, but I want to deal with the specific things that affect the Ghanaian actors. Then I hear the NPP also talk about travel protocol services. Again, these services, in my view, are happening on some levels. And then the government wants to do more. But here's my question. I think I heard Max talk about full powers. And I need him to actually explain the full powers a little, because my understanding, full powers in the diplomatic circle is given to entities or individuals who have the power to bind the country. So again, maybe he didn't mean full powers per se, because in diplomatic terms, when you say full powers is, there are very few people who have full powers from a diplomatic point of view, who can travel on behalf of the country and bind the country to an agreement. So I think that once he said it, then maybe he needs to provide.
I think when he mentioned full powers, he wasn't referring to giving that to the creatives.
So
he was just citing an example. Yes.
Okay. So again, in my view, communication requires clarity, and you need to be absolutely sure what you're saying. Because once that entered my head, I wrote it down, and then so in my mind.
So he was citing an example of the privileges that other people enjoy, and the fact that the critics can also enjoy similar privileges.
Okay,
not
so then
specifically the full powers for creatives.
Fantastic. Then in effect we can do away with the full powers. Then the last two things that I would mention as I begin to summarize my thoughts so far as the NPP is concerned is that I think that we need to get to a point as a country where training and capacity building no longer becomes a part of a manifesto commitment. And again, this goes to the two parties, because I feel that our public sector and civil service architecture is ripe to the appreciation that capacity building and training is trite, is basic. So even though it's in the manifestos, I didn't think that it was something that's really an outlier. Then I jumped to the NDC side. I think for me, the NDC side, I like the idea of the Black Star experience. The only question is that, are we going to go through a name change of what we do in December as an example? Because I like the idea that we need to create a Ghanaian experience.
They said they were not going to change that.
Okay. So, but have you read, so take a look at your manifesto, right? And read the description of the Black Star experience. If you have it in front of you, kindly read it.
Okay, but so according to them, they are using the Black Star experience as the brand name for the year-long celebration, celebration of all activities in tourism, art, and culture, which means that the year of return, beyond the return, December in GH will be included in this whole Black Star experience. If
so, I needed you to read the relevant portion of their manifesto.
I'll get that. I don't have it.
Because in my reading, as an example, it says that the next NDC government will create and promote the Black Star experience as Ghana's flagship culture, art, and tourism brand. The Pan-African Month, the celebration of heritage, it's a lot of things. So I like, to your point, I like the big ticket item. So in December, how many initiatives would we have? In November, how many initiatives would we have? And you would need the people who travel to Ghana to be clear in their minds that my experience in December is a year of return. So if you have a Black Star experience, the year of return edition, for me, it would sound a little bit mouthy. Again, on the NDC side, there's something that I'm happy about. You remember about, I think, 5-6 years ago, Baba Sadiq and I were in the studio and we had a conversation of whether or not there's a need to separate the creative arts part of tourism and create two separate ministries, having creative arts and tourism ministry. And I remember very well saying that I didn't think that would serve a good purpose because at the end of the day, you don't want to spend the first 2 years of a new ministry chasing around who's your chief director, who's your finance director, who am I supposed to pay? And it would have been a drag. So I am super excited that proposition that was given some years ago to split the two ministries, it didn't find relevance in this particular manifesto unless somebody has seen it, but I haven't seen it. And then they talk about cultural village and things like that. So for me, I think by and large, the ideas were thrown out during the debate. The big question for me is that, so what? Will these ideas as espoused by the various parties ensure that the Ghanaian musician is now global? Will these ideas ensure that the Ghanaian music industry is now at par with competition? Would these ideas ensure that the private sector would see enough profitability within the creative arts space to be able to put their $100 million in it? Would these ideas ensure that the consumption of music in Ghana, Ghanaian music in Ghana, continues to grow? I think that if these ideas do not address the current problems that we have, then it will just be a long laundry list of activities which will not take the major box.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse Ejapon, and he is a marketing consultant speaking to the Manifesto debate on creative economy, which was held last week. He's given his review of that. Let me get in studio and speak to Francis Doku, who was the keynote speaker on the day. Let's hear his review of the program last week. Uncle Francis.
Hello, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So I think that was a very brilliant, first view by Jesse. Very, very brilliant. And Jesse, thanks so much. There's some areas where I had noted to speak about that Jesse has touched, but I'll explain a bit more on that. Kwame, I think, again, first of all, we need to be thankful to the platform, Joy FM, Joy Prime, the multimedia group for doing this. I think the media has been trying over the years to bring attention to and excite the conversations around the tourism and creative art space, and I think this is one of the steps that's good. You mentioned that it's historical, but I mean, it's not historical. But
can we move on?
So congratulations to the team for putting this together. First of all, let me take. I want to take 3 observations from different perspectives. First, I take it from myself as a keynote speaker. I think the feedback that I got, that if you listened on radio, it sounded very well. I mean, the different things that I spoke about, and it was very detailed. I took a lot of time to research and present, and it sounded well on radio. But for TV, I could have done better in terms of my presentation. That's feedback that I got. So that's a very good feedback.
I like that.
So,
you take come.
Yeah, I take come. So that's for me. Second, I'll come to the moderator. I think that the focus, and Jesse alluded to something that I think was what had to have happened more in terms of the how. I think a question didn't really push the debaters to give how they are going to implement some of the ideas that they put on paper. And the questions, in my view, were more on the everyday things, than the big things in terms of the strategies, and how they'll take it forward. So this is just my two feedback to the moderator.
Well taken.
So having cleared the two, now let's go on to again what Jesse referred to in terms of the conversation wasn't, in my view, properly segmented in terms of areas, to look at. So, for instance, in some of the things that I spoke about were education, innovation, investment, and maybe to an extent sustainability.
Yeah.
Maybe if the conversation was divided on similar lines. So, all of them mentioned different things, but it wasn't properly categorized to say that, okay, this is what we'll do in terms of this. This is what we'll do in terms of this. If we had, in my view, properly segmented, and maybe we'll get a better response from each of them, than we did. So it's important that in such conversations, maybe we should just split it so that for MPP, this is the area we think you should answer, and more of the House and NDC, this is the area. So how are you going to do that and all that? Now, in terms of the and because we're being very blunt, we are going to be very blunt today.
Oh, do it.
In terms of the teams that represented the two parties, I felt that the MPP was more balanced, in terms of tourism and creative arts. The NDC came with Sadiq and Rex, who I think both of their strengths are on the same area, which is more on the creative side, art side. You realize that Mark is more on the creative art side, if you like, and Akwesi is more on the tourism side, if you like. So I felt that there was a bit of a balance on this side and this side. Maybe they should look at that in subsequent, if they hold that, they should. I had hoped that maybe for the tourism conversation for the NDC, somebody in the person of maybe Ofosu Jari, former minister, and maybe one of the two that came could have, given a balanced view, in my view. Because, Kwame, all the countries that we're going to be competing with, they have very strong, bent towards the tourism side. They see it as a bigger thing. Creative arts will come and complement all the things that they do, from that perspective. So when you're having conversation on the things that you're going to implement, I think it's only fair that you look at how to properly balance your team to give a view. Secondly, I think that in terms of the people that they put out, let me speak for the two parties. I felt that Sadiq from the NDC side had a better grasp of the issue in terms of how to, communicate what they had in mind than Rex did. Maybe, in conversations in terms of presentation, I thought that Sadiq had a lot more, and I would have hoped that he was the one who led, because again, and Jesse referred to the Black Star, idea, experience. It wasn't, in my view, properly communicated for us to understand exactly what they're going to do with that. So we left the room still with doubt, and you realize that Jesse referred to that because you don't know if it's going to completely take over, or it will be complementary to what is already existing. And I must say at this point, that's one thing I wanted to say earlier, at this point, that I was totally disappointed with the creative arts sector, especially during the course of this week. There was a big debate for almost 4 hours. A lot of things were said. So many promises were made. But the one thing that we found ourselves fighting over this week was who owns the name or started the December in GH. I thought that was a bit petty, on both sides. It was very petty. You travel around, and many people have planned to come to Ghana every December, across Africa, and any place you went to, from South Africa to Tanzania to Kenya to everywhere, we have plans to come to Ghana in December. Do you think they care who named it, who was the first to start all that? I think it's a matter of, and I believe that governance is a continual process.
Yeah.
Some start, some continue, some take it further, and all that. So we should, in my view, just be proud that we have something like that and see how we can promote it more to bring people in. Now, having said that, let me also say that I felt that the MPP team, Akwesi, seemed a bit more in control on the debate day than Mark did, and you even realize that areas where it was creative art, Akwesi had to come in to help to give. I mean, they were working as a team. But if you were observing like I was in the studio, you realize that one person was leading,
listening
more.
And watching with Francis Doku.
Yeah. So I said today we are going to be blunt, so we are being blunt today. So I mean, even if you remember the issue about the National Theatre when it came up and the issues and all that, Akwesi stood up and he gave a better answer in my view. And generally, I mean, throughout the debate, I thought that he had a more grasp of the issues, and so yes. Even though he's seen more as a tourism guy, he had a lot more things to say about the conveyor on the creative art side as well. Then coming to some of the main things that were discussed, and again coming to the whys, I think it didn't come out well, some of the things that they had proposed to do. For instance, the NDC's proposal to build cultural villages across the country. I think there was a bit of a confusion in Sadiq's mind about exactly what a cultural village is. When he mentioned that there's a cultural village on the road to Kofodia, Ebri, that side. And Akwesi was trying to explain to him that it's not a cultural village. And actually it's not a cultural village. It's an art and craft village. So there's a need for a bit of explanation of what you mean by cultural village. I think when the question was asked, Sadiq mentioned that there was some in the north, and then that one and all that. Yeah. But I think it was a missed opportunity for him to explain exactly what will happen at a cultural village. And again, as Jesse said, we didn't know how that was going to be done. Maybe if it was help, because again, you asked the question. If I remember that, we had the centers for national culture across the country. A lot of them are in deplorable states. So what is the difference between these and that, and how are we going to balance it? I think it was an opportunity for him to explain further. Another disappointment for me was when Mark kept repeating, and he said it about 3 times, the manifestos are not cast in stone.
Are they?
Well, they are not. But if you do not pay your child's school fees, you don't tell your child it's because you don't have money. Or you have to find a way to explain, because this is the blueprint, and again it comes back to what Jesse said, that you need to be realistic in the things that you put in your manifesto. It may not be cast in stone, but can you assure us that when you mention this is where you're going to get the money, this is where you're going to, so you don't make it like a what you call the thing when you're going to the supermarket to buy shopping lists.
Okay.
So tomorrow when they ask you couldn't do it, they ask you, said it's not cast in stone, but you knew it, and you called all of us and we sat and you told us that this was what you're going to, this is your blueprint, and so yes, you cannot do it, but don't say it to us in that way that it's not cast in stone. Perhaps it's not, but can you find another way to let us know the reason why this one that you said you do, you didn't do? I thought that was it. There was also one area that I didn't quite see a lot of the both parties, happen on match in either in the manifesto or in the presentation, is how they're going to, for instance, tackle the sea, or what they call the blue economy. Okay. We have a very wide coastal area. What is our strategy in making sure that we leverage, the opportunities around those places? Some countries have really.
I think the NDC mentions, establishing a new city in the Volta region along the coast.
Yes, but that's one. But across the
and the Marine Drive.
What's the Marine Drive? What's happened to it? I didn't think there was a big mention of it.
It was actually part of our questions, but time didn't allow us.
Yeah, there was no mention of it on either side in terms of, okay, this is how we're going to tackle it. For instance, the MPP had the Marine Drive after one of the key things they were going to do. There was some sword cutting ceremony.
2017.
It was under the Ghana Tourism Development Company. Some time ago, they said it had removed the office of the president.
Yes.
What has come of it? And why is there so a quietness on it? That, okay, this is where we are, this is what we're going to do if we get a mandate to continue and all that. And so we don't know, just the marine draft. But I'm talking about the bigger, strategy of how we're going to use the sea, the coastal areas, and all that. Because some countries have leveraged that. I remember when I had some visitors from Zimbabwe come to Ghana, and they realized this wild coast went to the beach and all that. They felt that we were not, making good use of what we had, because Zimbabwe is a landlocked country, and they feel very jealous that you have the sea and we don't see much. You travel to places, you could do a lot on the sea. I don't know where. Moment, is there anywhere in Ghana that you do proper snorkeling? somewhere. So I believe that there must be some level of discussion around how we can properly capture.
Actually, there may be a place.
Yeah.
The recent demonstration that they did, and they, dived into the pond around the.
In the heart of the city.
See this guy.
So much of what we do with the sea currently is to fish in it, go to the beach, and swim, and then dump, refuse in it. Most places. I think there must be a need, in my view, for us to look at how to do that. So, Kwame, this is my initial, comment on some of the things that happen. I'm sure as we go on, others that I would like to. For instance, before we finish, I'd like to look at how to rate the performances.
Oh, you want to do that?
I like to do that, but that will come later. So
not now.
Yeah, no, not.
Please don't forget to let me write it somewhere.
So thanks.
Thank you very much, Francis Doku, and he is CEO of Plugging Digital Limited. He was the keynote speaker on the day of the Manifesto debate on creative economy, and he has just given his review. Let me get to Chief Moment now. Chief.
Let's hear from the policy expert.
You just came. You want to hear from policy?
Okay, so let's hear from Prof.
Then let's get to Professor Seydou Alidu, who is the head of department of the political science at the University of Ghana. Prof. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So you listen to us, share ideas on policy for our creative economy. How did you feel?
Okay, first of all, I just want to join Jesse and then Francis in commending the multimedia for putting this together.
Yeah. Actually, history made. Uncle Francis doesn't want to hear this one.
History repeated.
They've always been the need to direct our politics to issue-based campaign rather than just politics officer. And I think this actually set the stage for that issue-based campaigning, especially given the fact that the industry that we are looking at is very critical in terms of its contribution to GDP growth, in terms of its contribution to employment, to talent, and to a whole lot of things. And over the years, most political party manifestos has always put it on the back burner, and that kind of traction that it needed to be given to hasn't been done. And I think this kind of platform actually will help us to be able to move it to the level that it deserves. So looking at basically the structure of the program, I think it was very important in the sense that, it was well structured. Francis' keynote actually provided a very comprehensive enabling background to actually put all the issues that were discussed into context. So I think that was a very remarkable way to start that program. And then when you moved in deeper to the level of individual presentations, it gave each of the participants the opportunity to flow and to actually speak to the key issues that they had in their manifestos. But I also like the fact that there was this idea of
the cross-examination.
Cross-examination.
it was heated.
It was really very good.
Yeah.
In the sense of fact-checking, but also giving people the opportunity to rebut issues that were made, and then that was very, very, very critical, and actually elevated that level of debate to a very higher notch. And then after that, the summaries and all those things were very important. But I also want to add a little bit to what Jesse said about the issue of problem. You know, I think most of the participants got away with a lot of things.
Okay.
Because there were not so much probe about a lot of things. So policy is policy, but there can never be a policy without a problem. So a policy is always underpinned by a problem, and I just mentioned it in this presentation. So what problem were they seeking to address? But also, in terms of solution, so the policy is supposed to provide a solution, and you cannot give a solution if you are not able to demarcate the problem into either short, medium, or long term. And Jesse also referred to it. If you're able to do that, then it now gives you the opportunity to cost it. So they were talking about what it is. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. How much is it going to cost you to be able to do that? So that element, that bit of cost coming into whatever you propose, is actually, it reflects the fact that there's so much planning that goes into it. But even beyond that, in terms of the idea of capacity, do you actually, what are you going to do a capacity from? And how will implementing that particular problem even help deepen the capacity that you are trying to bring in? So the issue of capacity, some cases didn't come in strongly, but you were also looking at the idea of even political will, to be able to implement this. So if you are proposing A, B, C, D, was it just the Manifesto committee that sat to do it, or is actually going to see a reflection? And you cannot be able to tell when you don't examine all those things. But the last bit that Jesse also mentioned was the issue of impact. So there's a problem. You have proposed policies that will address those problems. So to what end, right? Is it going to lead to more employment in the area, more capacity building, more traction in that particular sector, internationalization of the area? What at all do you seek to achieve by doing that? So basically, I think it was a very, very interesting program that actually highlighted a very critical sector in our economy that we have actually treated very lightly. But I also believe that there were a lot of things that the presenters went away with because the moderation didn't actually probe them so much. But it came up strongly in the course examination. But I also thought that the moderator should have also do a very critical follow-up questions to the presentation so that you just don't make claims and then go away with it. So I think that's just my initial.
Thank you, Professor Seydou Alidu. Now I can come to Professor Chief Mini.
Well,
Chief.
Yes. Good afternoon, or is it evening to, as we like to say in Ghana, to all
you didn't listen live, did you?
No, obviously, you know where I was.
Because right after we came to Alliance for your program.
I didn't see you.
For music of the month.
Oh, really?
I was there with my producer.
Oh, that was good.
Chief,
that was amazing.
Yes. We're proud that we've set up a new product from the Mansa world that I believe will do well internationally. And so thank you, Don, for coming after your keynote and to our presenter and the producer for also making the time. So I had to catch, so when I was
let me see those hands, let me see those
whole 4-hour video of the whole debate. I was like, how can I dedicate 4 hours? So I managed to go through quite comprehensively, probably not as much as all of you, but I did get a sense of it. And if I may just also, stand on the existing protocol and congratulate Joy FM for the opportunity. And I also thought it was impressive that the panelists came for the government side. I thought it was impressive that Kwesi and
Mark
Jiman and of Tourism Authority and Mark, Deputy Minister. These are no mean persons in the scheme of things of the creative arts. So to have decided to put themselves out there for this debate, I thought that was also impressive. Obviously, the opposition will always take advantage of any opportunity to present itself. So, and Sadiq is fast establishing himself, or has established himself in the party as one of the key voices for the creative sector, as well as Rex Omar. So it was quite understandable that they were representing the party. I do understand Don's point that it was almost creative art biased, and that probably a good balance of a creative arts, personality and a tourism personality would have been as good as what the MPP did. So generally, in terms of the paneling, I like that. I'm, however, a bit questioning whether there was the need for the keynote, though, because I'm thinking of a debate that is a contest of ideas. So where these political parties are coming to present their ideas, and you have a very experienced person in the industry who kind of like came to give a very comprehensive, overview of the creative industry and put forward some very powerful ideas, some of which, you could see connected to it. So I was wondering whether there was that need, to first, give us such a comprehensive input. It was, in a way, it was almost like a manifesto of itself. Maybe we can make we can make
an individual manifesto.
The CPP.
Are we on the ballot? Is the CPP on the ballot?
Is the CPP on the ballot?
I think so.
It's on the. Oh, okay.
It's on the ballot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, but I thought that Francis' point also was quite well, and I don't know because I watched it on the internet. So essentially the video version. I'm not sure what Francis documented that it could have been better with his
presentation.
Yeah, I mean, he looked dapper.
So he should explain further.
Yeah, because I'm wondering maybe they expected what.
That was the feedback that I got.
Okay,
and I took it as a
okay. I mean, the feedback must be hinged on, or maybe if you had used a teleprompter.
Yes, instead of using a tablet.
So then maybe there's a bit of eye connection.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was also wondering in terms of format as well before I move into content. The rationale behind Mr. Akwesi Agyeman's video introduction. I mean, they had 15 minutes to do an introduction, and so it was almost like an infomercial, is that an advertising piece? I was wondering if how that fits into the format of a debate, of having.
I'm not answering to anything today.
But I'm just
it's rhetorical.
Yeah. So I was also wondering, whether that was an optimal or a good use of that particular time in terms of debates, come and present your ideas, But in it I thought that generally it was, and I like that you set up the rules quite, quite directly at the very beginning, the need for civility and all of that. And I think generally it was civil. I mean, occasionally slightly heated. When you have Baba Sadiq, you should expect some moment. But I thought that they held their own. As he said, I think Mr. Agyeman actually came out quite strongly and confidently. And if I may just go through, just an overview of some of the ideas, before we get into the main discussion, starting with Francis Doku's keynote address, which was quite connected, issues of visa, the virtual experience, airlines. You can see that all of the manifestos talked about it. I thought that the NDC's point about the Black Star experience as a branding point contained in their manifesto, further highlighted, in the debate. For me, I actually think it's a very important branding exercise. I think that on several occasions on this show, I've said that I was never in favor of Beyond the Return. I always said that as a branding, message, it just after the year of return, it's either you continue as a decade of return. So for me, no one is coming to Ghana and say I'm coming for Beyond the Return. Beyond the Return, I always say is more or less like a policy within government circles to see when people return, how do we maximize that return, in terms of, their experience as well as, the benefits, to the country, right? Yeah. So I definitely think that there is, a need for some kind of an overarching branding of the tourism experience that we present in Ghana. Because currently, the debate about December in Ghana. So what is it now? It's now December in Ghana, right?
December in GH.
December in GH and all of that. Yeah, those are like activations. Yeah. So I feel that I think that the NDC's idea of having an overarching description of the Ghanaian tourism experience, I think, is, if well implemented and well branded, can actually have a great impact, because tourism is all about narrative. It's all about narrative. You can have a piece of banana plantation that has nothing, but you build a narrative around it and it becomes experience. It becomes something that people want to experience. So if we have an activation that is a Black Star experience, and under this umbrella of a Black Star experience is further, segmented into different kinds of experiences. You have your independence in March, you have Emancipation Day, you have this. In December, it's about the partying. Then you know that it is Black Star experience, but it comes in different, iterations.
Absolutely.
Or it's
so that's the point I was making, that in the presentation
it could have come out strongly. Yes, I mean, for me, immediately the first time I just read it in because I've been looking for something like that. So the first time I heard about them talking and I saw in the manifesto, I said, yes, I agree that we need an overarching description of our experience. Absolutely. And we've always said that what our experience is that we can sell more is not necessarily your wildlife tourism, even though we have it there. Other countries have a bigger chunk of that market than us, right?
Do we have them?
Well, more than that.
Have you passed through Eminem?
But I had an intelligence that someone is actually developing a huge gaming hunting, gaming, something resort in Ghana. Are there actually things happening in the background?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, what point was that?
You were on the Black Star experience.
Yes, so I feel that in that regard, I do definitely agree, that overarching experience. And whether it's an NDC victory, an MPP victory, I definitely agree that we need an overarching description because that's the value we are presenting. It's not about the wildlife, but our heritage tourism. That's the biggest asset. And Black Star connects to that initial idea of what Nkrumah stood for, of what our country could be, and we even had the Black Star line, right? And I think that when the Chase, what's the name of this rapper who came to do the Black Star?
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper did his Black Star festival, music festival. Yeah. We have this Black Star International Film Festival. So it's a brand that I think that if we lashed onto
and then Black Star Films further, for the film industry,
we could own that brand and give it so. So for me, I'm definitely in favor of that. But
Thank
my
you.
general,
Okay. Should I? Oh no, continue. Okay. Your general.
My general view. I mean, obviously, both parties had very interesting ideas. These are things that we've been discussing on this platform. These are things that Mr. Doku in his own manifesto, discussed in detail. So I am not necessarily impressed with ideas because, I mean, what are ideas worth? Because ideas are definitely on
execution.
The table. What I am more concerned about is the ability of these actors to be able to influence their governments in such a way as to make this industry a priority. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether it is too much of an expectation to have wanted to hear what will happen internally. We've heard of what will happen externally. The government will do this, the government will do that, the government will do that. But in a governance system where there are competing interests, where health is calling, where education, is calling, where infrastructure is calling, when agriculture is calling, how do you prioritize the creative industry, within such a governance sphere? So probably one of the things I would want to hear from our political parties, and maybe not even necessarily the political party as a whole, but those who are championing our industry, to say, what can you do to prioritize the creative arts industry within this very competitive field, especially as we are going into a dispensation where a lot of economists are telling us that, look, we don't have the resources, our debt portfolio is high, we have to contend with Eurobond payments from 2025 and beyond. So there's going to be an extra pressure on the economy and the government treasury. So if there's going to be such a pressure on government's treasury, it stands to reason that government may, in its view, prioritize what it considers as most essential. And we know that when government is prioritizing what it considers as most essential, sometimes areas like tourism and the creative arts then becomes, second, options, right? So maybe what one should be thinking about is how can we, utilize the creative industry, the tourism industry, to address the challenges that we are in and going forward. One of our biggest challenges is that we've been kicked out of the foreign direct, the capital market, so we can't borrow internationally. But we need, foreign exchange, right? So Kwame has his good for oil policy. Probably the language that those in our creative industry should be speaking directly, I mean, sometimes they hint at it, is how our tourism industry, is how our creative industry can bring about more foreign exchange, And then that in that regard, you are speaking a language where you can make a business case for that to be implemented. So maybe what I'm asking for is that the sweetness of the pardon is in the eating, and the eating is in governance. But for me, yes, ideas are great, but what is our guarantee? What's the one thing that would convince us that those ideas will be implemented? What is the political? What evidence are they showing us that this is just not another talk shop? These are not just another long list of ideas, but it can be backed with the will. And you actually even hinted at it when you had your segment at the very beginning about beyond the ideas. How sure are we that those ideas will find execution when these political parties eventually find their way into governance?
Good one there, Chief Moment. One thing that also came up was the streaming platforms, digital platforms. Both parties promised that. And I have this gentleman who is an expert in this field. He's a software engineer and a solutions architect. He used to work with Kisima. He is on the line right now. Let me speak to Solomon Apiasign. Hello, Solomon.
Resources, nepotism.
Hello.
Hello, Solomon.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing very well. How are you?
Also doing well right here. But so let's go straight to the point. So last week we had our debate on creative economy, and one thing that came up was digital platforms for creatives, as in a platform that will market the wares of our creatives, whether it's fashion, music, movies, and all that. And you being somebody who is into this field, let's ask you, how feasible is this?
All right. So once again, good afternoon to your listeners and your panel. Unfortunately, I couldn't join in person. So technically, this is feasible, right? But I feel with the question of feasibility, it goes beyond the platform being built and also making it something that users will want to use, one, and also compete with competitors like the giants, Spotify, Netflix, and the rest, to be able to compete with YouTube and like still have significant numbers of users wanting to visit and consume content on those platforms. So yes, technically it's very, very feasible, but I feel it goes beyond just building it to make it something that people will want to use. It's also a different discussion on its own. Yeah.
What goes into its establishment?
Okay, so I'll first ask how much time do I have, so I know how to present this, because it's quite a tall presentation. I have to
kindly do this in 8 minutes for me.
In 8 minutes, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to group my presentation under some headings, and first I'm going to touch on infrastructure and architecture. I'm also going to talk about data storage and management, content ingestion and encoding, content delivery and streaming, buffering and latency management, recommendation systems, user interface and user experience, monetization models, scalability and resilience. Then the last will be security and privacy. So I hope I'm able to touch on these within these 8 minutes. So usually, when it comes to the architecture talks about how you want to position the systems and build them such that they are able to suit the use case. So when you talk about platforms that do both video and audio, there's something called content delivery network. So what this do is to basically make the delivery of the content quick and efficient to users worldwide. So at high level, this is just saying that you store the content or copies of the content in different geographic locations, right? So when you say visit YouTube, for instance, or Spotify, or any of these guys, usually on the internet, based on where the destination is or the server you are visiting is, it takes a lot of, or makes a lot of hops to move from one IP address to the other until it arrives, right? So theoretically, it's believed that if you bring the destination closer to the user or the users, it takes a shorter time for them to get what they want. So it doesn't take long to get the content to start showing or start playing. And this is achieved by creating or building a content delivery network. Now, there's also cloud infrastructure. So today we have Amazon Web Services, you have Google Cloud, you have Azure by Microsoft, you have Digital Motion, there's Linode. So all of these guys are cloud platforms where instead of having servers on-prem or in a building locally, you rather deploy your systems in the cloud. What this also will do is to enable you to tap into some features like auto-scaling. So what auto-scaling means is when demand rises, the systems are able to know and detect and call other systems like themselves or copies of themselves to help them manage the traffic or the pressure that they are receiving. So you realize you have systems here in Ghana. At certain times, these systems just go off. And because traffic is there, I don't want to mention any particular one. But we've seen Facebook for a very long time, YouTube for a very long time. These guys are there, and they hardly go down. And this is due to a feature called auto-scaling, which detects traffic, spike in traffic, and is able to bring up other servers or systems like themselves to help them handle the traffic. Then the architecture of the whole system. Currently, there's this trend where we build things in small rooms called microservices. So it's like having a very big house, and you have your bedroom, you have your kitchen, you have your dining area, and all. You optimize these spaces to perform what they are expected to perform best. This means that if I'm doing, let's say, a streaming platform for audio, then I should have a service or a room where you can submit your content. Then we go through this content, do our indexing so that when people are searching, they can find easily, do our audio or acoustic fingerprinting so that when people hear the song and they pull out the app or an app, they can still detect the song regardless of the part of the song that is being played. So when you build microservices, you then customize them to perform these actions properly. Then after you have submitted and you have done all of this indexing and all, you move to storing them. So the data storage can happen in two ways. We have structured databases and unstructured ones. Usually, one doesn't work for all, as in properly. So you have to then break them into which one suits what. So for instance, people may make payments or perform transactions. So you usually use a transactional database which is able to detect each step of the transaction so that when it even fails, it's able to roll back and allow the user to attempt again. Then there are other databases that really don't matter. They don't have structure. They don't care how data is stored. Anything you give to them, though, accept and store it as is. And this is for, say, metadata, where for different groups or geographic locations, they may have data points or metrics that they are interested in. So when you go with structure, it then means you have to keep updating. Meanwhile, it may not work for all. So you then want to use both of them, the structured and unstructured, or SQL or no SQL, which really doesn't matter the structure that you submit to it. It will store and be able to bring it back to you when you need it. Then there's the content ingestion and encoding. Now, for certain platforms, they advise that for audio, they advise that you put in content in, say, WAV, which we usually call as wave, for audio. And the reason is that this is like having the music in its kind of raw form where you are able to have different versions of the song. Now, when talking about different versions of the songs, I'll jump to delivering the content. And you realize that sometimes when you are even watching videos, it sometimes gets pixelated if your internet connectivity is slow.
Yeah.
And this is where the various versions of the content comes in. So we can have low quality, medium, high, and even HD, 4K, and all of that. Now, when you are streaming, the system should be built to be able to detect the internet stability and speed of the consumer. In this case, if, for instance, you are on a 2G network, on a 3G network, on a 4G network, fiber broadband and all, it should be able to detect the speed and say, because this guy is on maybe 100 megabits per second internet connection, we can give them 4K video. Because they are on maybe a 10 megabits per second, we can give them maybe an HD video. So the raw version enables the system to have copies of it in lower qualities so that it is able to serve what works best based on the internet connection that the user has. Then I'll go to the recommendation systems, right? So now that we're able to submit the content, we've encoded it, and we're able to tell the speed of the user and all. These platforms make money when you spend time there. So the longer you stream, they make more money. Even if it's a free tier you are on, it is still money for them. Because I keep saying this, that whenever you use a product for free, you are the product. For some time, we've been using Facebook, we don't pay anything. After some years, Facebook started selling ads to us, right? So Facebook can now say, I have X number of users, and if you are able to put your ads there, I can promise you that this number of users can see it within X number of minutes or seconds, right? So regardless of the fact that you are paying or not, you are basically being, so you are paying in a way, right? So with the recommendation systems, what they do is they look at what you've been doing for a while, and also match you to other users like you. So you realize that when platforms or you are signing on to platforms, they take certain details about you, like your gender, age range, for instance, your location and all. Which artists do you like? So when and which songs do you like? So when you choose this or when you do this, they basically have some data or they've done their KYC. Then based on this, they then look at other customers that come onto the platform that have matching information like yours. For instance, how many Ghanaians do we have here that are like Kwame Dadzie? Maybe they like XYZ artists. They also listen to XYZ music. So if they do that, and Kwame Dadzie is listening to a Shatawale song, it is likely that this other guy will like a Shatawale song. And if this guy plays a Stonebwoy, a Kiddy, or a Kwame Eugene, it is possible we can give this song to Kwame Eugene because they have these similarities. Now, this is why when you are watching videos or music, it doesn't stop. Because there's this endless recommendation that you fall in where they try as much as possible to make sure you don't get bored or you don't stop listening to the song. So that is the recommendation.
Yeah. Well said. I don't know if you're done with your presentation, but I have a few questions to ask. I don't know if you are about...
Let me get your questions. It's possible part of the presentation will answer your question.
So one issue that came up actually from the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture, Mark, and he said that one reason they did not fulfill the promise of providing the streaming platforms as promised about 4 years ago was the fact that the market wasn't ready for that. Do you think that the Ghanaian market is ready for a local streaming platform as of now? We've seen Aftown, for example. What's happened to it?
Okay, so the market being ready, I'll say yes and no at the same time. Now, the reason I'm saying yes is because if Spotify will feel that Ghana is a market they have to concentrate on, then they've done their research. And let's know that Spotify has over 100 million users. So if they decide to come to Ghana, then they feel Ghana is a market that can add up to these numbers, right? So I would say yes based on that. Now, my no is because of the level of internet penetration we have here in Ghana. The last census that happened estimated that we have about 50% internet penetration, which was an improvement on the previous session, which we were around, I think, a 40 or 30 something. Right. So if it's 50%, now let's consider the population of Ghana. That means it's just about some 15 million or so plus people that have access to internet. Now, what is the quality and stability of these connections they have? It's a question, because users will get frustrated if the audio or video they are watching keeps buffering each and every time, right? So it's kind of a mixed response to this. I can hardly say a no and a yes, but all I can say is it looks like we are there, but when it comes to what we need, which the main thing is internet, I admit that there's offline versions where you can maybe at office or at work, at home where you have stable connections, you can have an offline copy of the online version so that if your connection is not even good, you can still enjoy. That is there.
Okay.
But that also comes at a cost, which we have to be ready to pay. And that leads me to the Uptown example. Now, I will say this, and I believe anyone from Uptown shouldn't take this in the bad light. But I'm going to be very blunt that Uptown did not solve our problem as content creators in Ghana. The time that Uptown was very vibrant was when free downloads were going on. I don't want to promote any platform, so I won't cite any examples, but we know that there were platforms where you could download songs for free. Now, Uptown came in and Uptown said, you can now buy an album or a song for X amount. Now, the question is, when I buy this song, how do I receive and consume it? I have used Uptown several times before. I think Sarkodie's Mary album, I bought it on Uptown. And I think also. Now, when I bought this, I had a copy of this zipped into an archive file. I could download and still pirate it. So the problem of people getting access to the song and using it anyhow wasn't solved. So if we base this on a study like Uptown, it's kind of, I would say, not proper, because I would look at platforms like Deezer and Apple Music and all, where I can have offline versions, but I still can't have the copy of the platform. So there's heavy encryption that happens in the app or the interface you use in consuming it. So I'm not saying it is impossible to pirate, but it reduces the chances of just anyone being able to have a copy and passing it on to their friends or even selling it. So yeah, that is my response to your question.
Great. Now, if you were to advise any government on what to do in setting up an online platform for the creative industry, what would be your advice?
Okay, so first, it's a good thing, because if it's going to be local, that's job creation. And my experience in this space over the years has shown me that there are a lot of talented hands here in Ghana, and even there are companies outside that are coming in to get them, right? So it will help when it comes to job creation, but competition will not make these platforms survive. And I one time mentioned on a program that if we really want to have these platforms here, our version, and make them survive, unfortunately, what we have to do is to some extent reduce or say block the foreign competitors. Now, I have been in certain countries where I am not able to stream Ghanaian songs. I tried shooting very small videos on some platforms, and I want to post with a Sarkodie song behind, a Shatawale song behind, and I can't find it. You search, it won't even show. So blocking these services won't be a first time of it happening. They are doing it and it's working. So it's like protecting yourself. Now, if I have been on a big platform for a very long time, and you bring a new one, and I still have access to my old one, where I have data stored over the years, why should I stop and come and pay for another service and use it, even if it's free? Sometimes, looking at the data that I have there, or the history I have there, I won't want to leave. So if we really want this to work, it looks like we'll have to go very hard to protect this space and either go into partnership or block some of these applications so that they don't bring the heavy competition that they have. Some of them have been around for a very long time, like for a very, very long time. And you bring in a new one, you expect that within a split second you can match up. It's going to take time, right? So for me, it will be a good thing to do, and it is very, very possible.
Great.
I feel there will be some legislature that has to come in to make it work properly.
Okay, thank you, Apia Sign. I think we need to end here. Thanks so much for your time this evening right here on Showbiz A to Z on Joy 99.7 FM. So Apia Sign is an IT person, and he just spoke to us about the online streaming platform. Promises given to us by the NDC and the MPP. How feasible are these? Coming up, Austin Wood is standing by. I still have Uncle Francis here, Professor Alidu Seidu is also here with us, and then Chief Mumin. But when you go to Nigeria, you don't use the chief. You are scared. We have Jesse Japan on Zoom. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey! We see you specking your car, taking that trip, chilling on the beach. Charlie, now we want to see this become your story. Simply use your ABSA card 10 times or more, and you'll be entered into a monthly draw where you stand a chance to be among 5 lucky winners to take home 40,000 Ghana cedis. The more you use your card, the more entries you'll receive. Earn an extra entry by using the ABSA app or internet banking 5 times or more. No ABSA card? Don't worry. Visit the nearest branch for an ABSA account or card today and make winning part of your story. Promotion is between 1st July and 31st October. This promotion is regulated by the National Lottery Authority on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply. Your story matters. ABSA.
Want more money, more moolah, more kudi, more sika, or more l'argent?
Yes.
Then win more moolah with 30 Ghana Cedis free credit when you play Game Park's Pick 1 and Pick 4 games for the first time.
How?
Just dial *946#, get your first bet, and win on us with a 30 Ghana Cedi welcome bonus.
Oh yes, it's all about the moolah.
Win more moolah with Game Park today. Go to GameParkGames.com for more information. Game Park is licensed by the NLA. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under 18 years.
This is James. Leave a message.
James, the game's about to start and everybody's here. Salah's got the meat going, Erling's got the cold ones, Saka's chilling. Where are you, man?
All your best football friends are waiting for you to join them for the Premier League. From 10 August to 10 November, you can get GoTV Super Plus now for the discounted price of 265 cedis to enjoy all 380 games of the Premier League live. Don't wait. Upgrade today. GoTV. Love it. T's and C's apply.
The Fantapim Old Boys Association MOBA presents the 9th edition of the MOBA Annual Engagement Series. Theme, Hen Nananom Botaimpa, 148 years of advancing educational excellence in Ghana. The future. Date, Wednesday the 25th of September 2024. Venue is the EcoBank Ghana Head Office Auditorium at Ridge. The time is 4:30 p.m. Panelists include Dr. Kenneth Shelton Akins, MOBA 1974, Innovations in Pedagogy and Curriculum Development. J. Kweku Beduado, MOBA 1984, Addressing Educational Inequality and Facilities. Dr. Kweku Innocent, MOBA 1994, Investments in Educational Infrastructure and Facilities. Jonas Menu Isamwa, MOBA 2004, Preparing Students for the Workforce of Tomorrow. The moderator is Abu Suleimana, MOBA 1985. Sponsors, Prudential Life Insurance, EcoBank Ghana Limited. Media partners, Joy FM, Joy News, Asase Radio, and Graphic Communications Group Limited. For more information, contact 050-318-6258 or 055-643-9873. Pabuchi, Jin Shekan.
Hey there, all enterprise customers. We are rewarding all of you just for standing by us all this while. Simply keep doing the things you've always done with us, like renewing policies, making purchases, and more. The twist though, you have to do them on our self-service portal via web or the Enterprise Advantage app. Once you log into the portal, access Advantage Points and do any of the transactions you're allowed to do there in order to earn points. The more you transact, the more points you earn. The points you earn can be used to redeem loads of airtime, Momo, and other rewards. It's that simple. Just visit the portal, log in, and enjoy. Visit my.enterprisegroup.net.gh or download the Enterprise Advantage app to get started. It's exclusive to enterprise customers. Shh, customers only. Enterprise Advantage Points, because nothing you do should be pointless.
Enterprise, your advantage.
It's Bernard Mankwa's celebration of his Grace Peace concert, the 17th edition. Theme, Peace Reigns. Let love resound in every heart, a joyful sound. His grace abounds, forever true. Peace reigns in me and you. Come, let's celebrate 17 years of strong harmony. Where love belongs, peace reigns at the celebration of his Grace Peace concert. Performing live, Bernard Mankwa, Dave the Music Box, Selassie Brown, Roderick Ejekum, La Famille, TY Crew, and the Presence Band. Date, Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. Time, 6 p.m. Venue, National Theatre. Rate free. Sponsors, InnoLink, Rayroy, New Professionals, Controlite, Innovate. Media partners, Adom FM, Joy FM, Hits FM, Asempa FM, Adom TV, Joy Prime, 3 Music TV, Onya TV, Onya FM, 3FM, GH1 TV, Star FM, TV Africa, Peace FM, and OK FM.
This October, join the National Theatre of Ghana and our partners at the Annual Conference of the Performing Arts, ACPA 2024, as we lead the discussions on the role of the performing arts in nation building. On the 2nd and 3rd of October at the National Theatre, Accra, celebrating performers, industry gurus, seasoned academics, and policymakers will, through discussions, workshops, performances, and an award ceremony, articulate the theme of the first annual conference of the Performing Arts, ACP 2024. We have value. Building Bridges to Success. Conference will culminate on the 3rd of October with an award ceremony and night of gratitude at the National Theatre. Darren Godia. Join us celebrate the contributions of our performing greats. From the 2nd to the 3rd of October, all roads lead to the National Theatre Accra for ACPA 2024. Let's build the performing arts together. We have value.
Explore a world of limitless opportunities, life-transforming experiences, and self-discovery on Springboard, your virtual university. Learn from industry experts, CEOs, and changemakers as we empower you with the practical tools for climbing to your next level. Join host Reverend Albert Okran every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Joy 99.7 FM and online on Facebook and YouTube. Catch the repeat on Joy Prime every Saturday at 6 a.m. Partners MTN Ghana, Enterprise Group, and the Ghana Grows Program, a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation and Springboard Roadshow Foundation. Media partners Joy FM, Joy Prime, and Graphic. Springboard, your personal value will shoot up.
Here's where we turn around. Here's where we turn around. The luckiest.
Star 712 #.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Star 712 #.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Doctors,
nurses,
barbers,
drivers,
bouncers,
friends,
teachers,
bankers.
You could be the luckiest. You could be the luckiest. East, west, north, south, Obia meant to be.
You could be the luckiest. You could be the luckiest.
Accra to Haga.
Let's go. The luckiest.
Star 712 #.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Star 712 #.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Doctors,
nurses,
barbers,
drivers,
bouncers,
friends,
teachers,
bankers.
Star 712 #.
You could be the luckiest.
As Ghana prepares for the December 7th polls, your voice matters in sustaining the peace. Join Joy News, Catholic Relief Services, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the National Peace Council as we hold a national dialogue on sustaining peace beyond the elections. Together, let's explore cultivating the culture of peace and discover the role you can play in building a peaceful future for Ghana. It's live on your election headquarters, Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and across all our social media platforms exactly at 6 p.m. on the 21st of September 2024. Hello, Ghana. Peace is not just a wish, it is a responsibility. Hashtag choose peace. GH. This dialogue is brought to you with funding from the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the Prevention of Violent Extremism through Social Accountability Project.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And send tweets.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Are you ready to get way more chances to win with Betway? Every single day, you have the key to unlock 5 free spins on Mega Money Wheel, where you stand to win a massive 1 million Ghana cedis jackpot. All you need to do is to log in and take your spin. Exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet the responsible way. Betway. Get way more.
Prepare your hearts for a bigger, better, and an extraordinary night of worship as Jeanette Services proudly presents the 7th edition of Women in Worship. This year, we bring you the Rehoboth Experience. Join the powerful minstrels like never before. Mercy Chinwo, Ada Ehi, Dinah Hamilton, Empress Gifty, and an all-female team eternity featuring Effie Grace, JOA, Raffia, Achia, and Lordina the Soprano. Sunday, 22nd September, 2024. Gates open 4 p.m. sharp. Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Kaneshi Roundabout, Accra. Rate a cool 70 Ghana Cedis economy and 150 Ghana Cedis first class. Visit Airport Shell, Bachana Total, Community 11 1 and 2 Shell, or online via egotickets.com, or dial *718 *33 *70 hash, or call 0248 810 396 to purchase your tickets now. Sponsors: Freital, A-Life, Serene Insurance, Silicon House, Equity Health Insurance, NASCO Electronics, Bell Pack, Eboom Air, Celebrity Studios, Bell Beverages, Media Partners, Multimedia. Daughter, you still have a voice.
Joe 99.7 FM. And this is on Showbiz A to Z. We're reviewing last week's Manifesto debate on creative economy. We've heard from Jesse Japan, Professor Sedu Alidu, Francis Doku, Apia Sign Solomon, and Chief Moming. In a moment, we'll be speaking to Austin Wood, broadcaster based in the UK. But get ready for a game changer SME. We're introducing Yellow Biz, our new multi-service bundle with everything you need for a smart business solution. This all-in-one package has 4G router with 10 gigabytes of free data, Microsoft Office 365, genuine Microsoft applications, WebWiz, a customized business website for your business, Unicom service, a unified business communication solution for your virtual call center, IVR, and conference needs, all for a very good deal you don't want to miss. With MTN Yellow Biz, your business will gain access to advanced productivity tools, powerful online presence, and superior customer experience to optimize your operations. To stay ahead of competition, call toll 100 or 0244 308 111, or email us at mtnbusiness.gh@mtn.com. Again, mtnbusiness.gh@mtn.com, or you can visit mtn.com.gh/business or any MTN office for your Yellow Biz and stay connected everywhere you go. The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry presents the most anticipated business event of the year, the 4th Chamber Business Award 2024. Mark your calendars for Friday, September 27, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Accra International Conference Center. We're honored to have His Majesty King Takite Kuchru II, the Ghana Chair, as a special guest of honor. And this year's theme is Adaptability and Innovation in a Green Economy Through Collaboration. We are celebrating Ghana's best businesses and exceptional business leaders. It's an excellent opportunity to network with top business leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, and key decision makers from various sectors across Ghana. Build strategic partnerships and expand your network. Remember, the dress code for the evening is formal or traditional attire. Tickets are available now. VIP 1,000 Ghana cedis. Members for 500 Ghana cedis. Non-members 700 Ghana cedis. Or book a corporate table for 15,000 Ghana cedis. To purchase tickets, dial *227 *5030, or you can call 02497554 5457. Again, 0249755457 or 020-271-3340 or 050-126-0136. It's Women in Worship, as Jeanette Services proudly present the 7th edition of Women in Worship. So join the powerful minstrels like never before. Mercy Chindu, Ada Ehi, Dana Hamilton, Empress Gifty, and all female Team Eternity featuring Effie Grace, Joe A, Rafia, Achia, and Lordina the Soprano. It's happening Sunday, 22nd September 2024. That's tomorrow. It opens at 4 p.m. It's happening at the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Kaneshi Roundabout, Accra. And the rate is 70 Ghana Cedis economy, 150 cedis first class. You can buy your tickets at Airport Shell, Bachona Total, Community 11, 1 and 2 Shell, or online egotickets.com, or dial *713*33*70 hash. You can also call 02488100396 for your ticket now. Sponsors Fritol, A-Life, Serene Insurance, Silicon House, Equity Health Insurance, NASCO, Bell Pack, Celebrity Studios, Silicon House Production, Bell Beverages. Are you ready to get away? Yes, are you ready to get away more chances to win with Betway every single day? You have the key to unlock 5 free spins on Mega Money Wheel, where you stand to win massive 1 million jackpots. So what are you waiting for? Log in today and take your spin. All thanks to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. And this one is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet the responsible way. Betway, get way more. Hello Ghana, your voice matters in sustaining peace as a country. And as this country prepares for the December 7 polls, join Joy News, Catholic Relief Services, the Kingdom of Netherlands, and the National Peace Council as we host a national dialogue on sustaining peace beyond election 2024, the role of the Ghanaian citizen. It's on Saturday, 21st September. That's today, happening this evening, 6 p.m. live on Joy News and Joy 99.7 FM, on joyonline.com, and on all our social media handles. On our panel, our chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, chairperson of the National Commission of Civic Education, Madam Kathleen Adi, security consultant in risk assessment and analysis, Professor Kwesi Ening, and regional coordinator for research and capacity building at OneNep, Dr. Festus Kwesi Obing. Yeah, so tune in and be part of it. The Infantipim Old Boys Association MOBA presents the 9th edition of the MOBA Annual Engagement Series. The theme is Hennananum Butaipa. 148 years of advancing educational excellence in Ghana, the future. Date is Wednesday, 25th September 2024. Venue is Ecobank Ghana Head Office Auditorium, Ridge. Time is 4:30 p.m. And the panelists are Dr. Kenneth Shelton Akins, J. Kweku Bedu Ado, Dr. Kweku Enusing, Jonas Menu Asamoah, and the moderator is Abubakar Sulemana. This is sponsored by Prudential Life Insurance, Ecobank Ghana Limited, media partners Joy FM, Joy News, Asati Radio, Graphic Communications Group Limited. And then for further information, you can call 050-318-6258 or 055-643-9873. And of course, tomorrow we're having a Pentecost hour, 1:30 p.m. right here on Joy 99.7 FM with the chairman, Apostle Eric Nyameche. So tune in tomorrow. Are you a customer of Enterprise? If not, then this is the best time to join the Enterprise family. Because guess what? Enterprise is excited to roll out their new loyalty program, Enterprise Advantage Points. Now, Enterprise customers can rack up points and score awesome rewards just by making purchases, renewing policies, and more. All through their self-service portal or the Enterprise Advantage app. Just log in your account, access Advantage Point, and start earning points for rewards like airtime, Momo, and more. You can just go to myenterprisegroup.net.gh or you can download the Enterprise Advantage app to get started. Join the family now and win with us. Join 99.7 FM. Yeah, we have some more time to kill. I have some questions for Professor Alidu. But in the meantime, Austin Wood is online now from the UK, and he has some thoughts to share on the Manifesto debates on creative economy that was held last week on Showbiz Roundtable. All right, so let me go straight to the phone lines and speak to Austin, the controversial Wood. He's on Zoom right now. Hello, Austin. Hello, Austin. Okay, it appears Austin can't hear us now. So we're still here on Joy 99.7 FM, 05511119997. Did you listen to our Manifesto debate on creative economy last week? What do you make of everything? The highs, the lows, and anything you want to say about the program, you can share with us now, 05511119997. Right here in the studio, I have Francis Doku, I have Professor Ali Dusedu, Chief Muming. Jesse Japan is still on. Earlier on, we spoke to Apia Sign Solomon, and I think Austin Wood is on now. Hello, Austin.
Hello, Kwame.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I'm doing good. It's been a while.
Yeah, and good evening to Steve Moman, Francis, and Dr. Ali Disedu. I've really enjoyed Jesse as well, and I've really enjoyed the discussion you have had today. Brilliant show today.
Wonderful. So I guess, even last week while the show was ongoing, I saw your post on the page. You were commenting, making your assessment, everything. Please, I'm giving you 8 minutes to do your entire assessment. Bonus minute 1. 9 minutes.
No problem. I think that they've dealt with a lot of the issues, and because they are in studio, I would not even belabor some of the points, and I can do it in 3 to 5 so that they can continue.
Okay.
I'm always available any other time. But this is it. I would want to deal with some of the things that have not come up. First of all, I think that one of the challenges we face in our industry is data collection. And I think during the debate, there should have been fact checkers who would be fact checking some of the things that have been put out. Because if you listen to Jesse, he was talking about implementation when we think the timelines are. Francis has also raised some of the issues. So I think if we had fact checkers who in the spell of the moment could have said that, you said you would do this, you were not able to do. This is where we are. So you did something brilliant with the video of, I think it was the amphitheater or something.
Yeah.
You see, it was in the moment. You were showing clear evidence that this is the state of it. And the deputy minister had to explain. I don't know if the explanation would go down well with Ghanaians. So that is some of the challenges we are facing. It's not just Ghana. Even in advanced democracies, they struggle in the heat of the moment for debate hosts and also the other people to be doing the fact-checking real time. What I would want to avert our minds to is in the manifestos and all the discussions that went on, it was all about what the state would give us as an industry. But what we would give in return, that is quality production, how they will help us with all that, how we are putting ourselves also out there to be able to do that did not come up. Why am I saying this? We talk about music quite often. They've taken the center stage, comedy as well, and the dancers. The one industry part that is going down has to be the movie industry. So I keep asking myself, if you look at the movie industry and what they have done over the period, they've been going down. We struggle. I was looking at us putting something in the manifestos or policy that would help us change quality. The focus was on, we think we are doing well, but the only challenge is how we would market it. I disagree. I think we are doing poorly with our movies. So we should start from how we can create good content that is best for international standards, local and international standards, before we think about policy on how we will be able to sell it and also get to the top. I believe that should happen. I've watched a couple of Ghanaian movies in the last 2 years, and it feeds into what Gabia Sarochidakut said 3-4 years ago that had the whole nation talking. But I agreed with him. I agreed with him perfectly. If you are watching a Ghanaian movie, Kwame, and somebody husband is abusing her, when the friend visits, she should not say, let's go to the pastor. We should be able to imbibe in us this kind of thinking that you should report to the police, and we can use movies as a powerful tool to change that. I think lately what we are doing is skits, funny things, all that. And all those are not even depicting who we are. Look at how Nigeria is able to depict who they are. And it gets to a point, Ghanaians are watching Nigerian movies from the 90s and are using words like Tofiakwa, Amadioha, and all that. Look at Bollywood, they're depicting that. But we are not doing that. It seems we are doing our movies first for international market, even before our local market. But no matter what, Kwame, the local market is what we should target first. And also we should be depicting our culture and everything we do as a way of, as a people in our movies. And I did not see that from the parties trying to help us to be able to achieve that. Secondly, Jesse raised an important issue with funding. We keep talking about we want to do this. We believe we can do that. This is how we would go about it. But you see, our budget would have to fall in line with national budget. And if you listen to the Super Morning Show, when they come and they are having their discussions, Dr. Ali Desodi can help us because he would be best positioned because he is joining us from there. You see, we have a challenge as a country with our finances. We have suspended even payment of our debt. Moving into 2025, that these manifestos have been put forward, please, we do not have some of the things, the money that is readily available for what they would want to do. So Dr. Baumia raised a classical issue and very important that he says, when it comes to government infrastructure, he will liaise with private sector who will take 3% of our GDP worth to do government infrastructure. Are we looking at something like that for our industry? If private sector is coming in, are we positioned well enough? Do we have the necessary data that private sector can pick and say, okay, we are investing in this part of our industry and this is how much we'll be able to recoup? We've not positioned ourselves that way. So I thought that the parties would help us position ourselves that way so that when private sector comes in, because I don't believe the government or the next government will have money for some of the things we said we would be doing. But when private sector would want to come in, they would want to come in, rest assured that they are investing in a thriving or an industry that has huge potential. Kwame, listen to this. You see, Nigeria is the most populous Black nation in the world because not everybody in Brazil is Black. Look at what they do and say somebody produces a movie in Nigeria and out of the 290 million population, he gets just 1% of them buying it. Look at how much they would be earning. But move from Nigeria and talk about African continent. Africa has the largest youthful population in the world. We are a continent of over 1.3 billion. How is the Ghanaian industry trying to tap into that? We are always talking. You see, look at the year of return. The focus has been on Americans. The focus has been those from the UK. The focus has been those from the diaspora. But what about Kenya? I'm happy Francis is in there because lately he's been doing something, a tour of Africa, and he's in that position. I'm telling you, if we position ourselves well, today is Nkrumah Memorial Day. If we position ourselves well, look at how many Africans would want to come to Ghana on Nkrumah Memorial Day. Why are we just leaving it out to just year of return, November to December, and everything dies down? Why are we leaving that to just the Americans or those who are in America, who are in Canada, those who are in the UK? Let us target the African population as well, because we can also win them over with our tourism. But overall, I don't believe some of the things they said they will do, they can do. They have failed, both of them. But the NPP in particular has failed us. Mark has failed us a lot because he was an industry person. We all wanted him to be there. And you check the debate, I think he was not on top of issues. I was disappointed with both parties, but especially Mark as a deputy minister, who I believe was not on top of issues. Kwame.
What was your highest points in the debate?
I think my highest point had to do with Kwesi, as Francis was saying. I believe because of where he finds himself, he's well vexed in the tourism matters. So anytime he stepped in to talk about something, you could realize that he's well vexed in it and he knows what he was saying. I wanted Rex Omar to have done same for music and copyright issues. I wanted Sadiq to have done same for that, but I did not get that. And we have always complained about this. Even the president in his State of the Nation address talking about tourism and creative arts, he spoke 98% about tourism and the impact his government has had in that sector, leaving creative arts. So I was not surprised. We've not given attention to the creative arts. And if you want a classical example of why we have failed to give attention to creative arts, the Joy FM debate last week showed that the person who is well vexed in tourism was the star of the show over the other debaters.
How do you reconcile this with the fact that, or with the suggestion that rather creative arts dominated in the conversations on the day?
Yeah, creative arts dominated, but the person who stood out was the person from the tourism. You can be talking for 2 hours and you might not have convinced anybody. But I'm saying the person you asked for my high moment, and I think that Mr. Kwesi Agyeman is good. I have issues with him. You know, I've talked about some of the data that is put out. Kwame, check. We talk. Let me do this. You see, if you check the whole data and you don't disaggregate it, you might be thinking it's helping us. But the last time I put on the platform the disaggregation of the data, how much tourists were spending in Ghana and what was going into creative arts, what was going into hotels, restaurants, food, you realize that what they were spending on typical creative arts expenditure was very minimal. A lot was going rather into food, the hotels and all that. That is tourism. But I'm saying that even though creative has dominated in the discussion, the star of the show was the tourism person, because he was on top of issues.
Thank you very much, Austin, the controversial Wood. And he is a broadcaster now based in the UK. So that's his perspective while watching or listening to our debate last week on creative economy. Now, let me come in again. We still have Jesse online. We have Francis in the studio. Professor Alidu is also here at Chief Moment. Now, let me come to Prof. Yeah, before I come to Francis to rate. Prof, let me ask you this. Manifestos, are they cast in stone or they are not?
Manifestos are political contracts. So what you say you're going to do is actually going to influence people to vote for you. So in democracies where there's deeper accountability, it is important that what you say you're going to do, you should be able to do it. Because people are going to vote for you just because of one particular thing that you promised them you're going to do. And that's why when you are doing a manifesto, you have to take into consideration a whole lot of things. So basically, costing is very important. How do you cost the manifesto? Especially the very key ones. There are some that are just policy issues. We may we'll leverage this, we'll upgrade this, we'll strengthen this. Those are different. But key policy decisions that you have in your manifesto, you should be able to cost them. If you cost them, it gives you a sense of the amount of money that will be required to implement them. Then you now begin to think of the source of funding. And we've all agreed in this studio and also those online that the government or the party that will win this year's election is not going to have it easy in terms of what? Funds. Definitely there will be competing projects from all the sectors. That will depend on the very little money that we're going to have. So if you're able to cost your project, it gives you the opportunity to either decide whether it's going to be public sector finance, public sector led in financial or private sector, or public-private partnership. And we all agree that it's not going to be easy for the public sector moving forward. So even if it's going to be PPP or maybe private sector led, the private sector just don't come into a project like that. Definitely they will look at the viability, the feasibility, and also maybe the risk that is associated with it and what they'll get back when they are coming. So I do believe that once you have something in your manifesto, it should be something that you should be able to do. And as part of the costing, so beyond even the costing, there are policy stakeholders and policy contestations. Apart from the contest for the money, there are also alternative ways of doing or achieving a particular goal or end. So definitely, if you were thinking of doing it this way, somebody can also come in terms of the strategy or implementation. If you do it this way, it may be cost efficient or it may be this, based on the interest. But you are also moving forward to look at, as part of in the implementation stage, the idea of stakeholder contestations. The people that are going to benefit from the project, how are they going to leverage on a particular way of implementation or not, whether that's going to benefit them. So when you put all these things, there's a need to think through proposals before we let them reflect in our manifesto. I do believe the fact that it's good to put the most important ones that you are ready to implement for public scrutiny in your manifesto. Those that you think are good and maybe you are not very certain, keep it. If the environment is ripe and you do it, then you surprise the people. Right, rather than just lump everything. So we pick our manifesto, 100 pages or 200, everything is there, and the politicians are convinced that they can't implement all this even in 20 years, but they throw it up there. And that thing also has to do with our ability of accountability.
Yeah.
And we, the people who vote for them, and we, the people in which these policies are sold to, have to be very careful, scrutinize them, and let them know that there are consequences for promising us and going away with it. So if you promise me you do A, B, C, D, and I buy into it and I give you my vote, and then later on when I demand accountability, tell me it's not cast in stone, then you come back to me again in the next 4 years.
Okay.
Then I also let you know that my vote is not cast on stone as well.
Thank you very much, Prof. Francis Doku, the rating.
You really want?
We are waiting for the rating. I've not forgotten.
You really want us to do that? But I mean, before then, I just want to harp on something that Austin said.
Can you do that in 2 minutes maximum together with the rating?
Yeah, I mean, he referenced the fact that we are focused on some market, US, as our source market for tourism.
Yeah, Austin.
Whereas there are other areas that we need to also, we need to diversify our source market, and we need to turn a bit of attention onto the continent. I think there is a lot of potential on the continent, Africa, regional tourism, and other places that we should. But our focus has been solely, if you like, about 90% in a US market. If anything happens, then we lose that. So I think it's a very good point that as part of our implementation of whatever strategies we have, we need to look at how to focus or diversify our source market so that we don't suffer at the end. So in terms of
rating,
I think I referenced earlier how I thought that the performance. So let me take the MPP side.
Okay.
I think again, Akwesi was very strong.
Okay.
Strong delivery with a clear grasp of the issues. You know that and I think his articulation was good, and he spoke very well for the position of the party on tourism and creative arts.
Okay.
So I rate him 8 out of 10.
8.
Yes.
Okay.
I rate Akwesi 8 out of 10. While experience and also being the deputy minister of tourism and arts and culture, his arguments I thought could have been better, and his grasp of the issues would have been better. For me, his comment on manifestos not being cast in stone kind of affected him in the ratings that I gave. I gave him 5 out of 10. And
the other side.
The other side.
5 is not cast in stone. It is amenable to
the other side.
I think Rex could have been more effective in his presentation. I think his explaining the key concepts, and again, the Black Star experience was the underpinning, or if you like, the oversight strategy for tourism for the party. But I felt that he could have explained it better, and so just like Mark, I give him 5. And I think Sadiq delivered a well-rounded explanation of the NDC's vision for the creative economy, presenting a clear understanding of the issues, more in my view. But I think what would rate him a bit down is his understanding and explanation of what the
cultural village
is. I think those are key things that need to have been properly explained of what they are, and I think he failed on that. So I gave him 7.5.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Wow! You didn't rate the keynote speaker and the host.
No, I will read that
one. Chief, please, 1 minute for you.
What are you going to do the rest of the time?
You're going to read it.
You don't know.
The issue of I think that this issue of streaming, I want to have a quick bite on it, because I think it's actually, we don't need any new streaming service, especially for such a small market like Ghana. You know, streaming is about cutting across different markets, and there are already established streaming services. We should be thinking of how we can maximize our presence on those, those services. And I don't think government should even remotely get involved in anything streaming or setting up a streaming site. It's just going to be an avenue for, procurement chop that will have absolutely no impact. At best, as we like to say, government can create an enabling environment so that if any private sector actor would want to create such a streaming service, that person may be. But even with the private sector, I don't see any local streaming service today that says I want to create a streaming service for Ghanaian music. It's just not going to make sense. We have to look at the world we're in and strategize accordingly. Maybe if you talk about the fact that we need a big major Pan-African streaming service, giant that can compete with the Boom Plays and the Apples of this world, that's a conversation one can have. But that should come from a very big African media organization that has the resources. Like if a DSTV wants to, and I'm sure they may even already have an app or something, but let's not kid ourselves thinking that a streaming service for exclusive Ghanaian content will go anywhere, especially when now it's about the global market and getting into those spaces. I mean, having said that,
having said that,
yes, I think that we can give Mr. Doku Uncle Francis, as you like to say at the beginning of the show. But I totally read. Francis doesn't look like uncle.
He's my uncle.
He's looking very dapper, And Don, I can see the there's been some kind of.
Are you suggesting Uncle Ken doesn't look dapper?
No, I'm who?
Uncle Ken.
Of course he is. I mean, he's.
But so what are you talking about?
No, I'm just trying to make a point of late. Don there seems to have been a revolution in his appearance. I want to know. Is he trying to stop growing in A?
Thank you, Chief Moment. Let me go on Zoom and pick Jesse's closing remarks in 1 minute. Jesse, sorry for keeping you waiting, but please do this in 1 minute for me, sir.
It's okay. It's been a while. So my closing remarks will be this: one, there are people who will be good for policy conversations, and there are people who will be good for executive executions. If you put somebody who is an executive-minded person who can make decisions and move in a policy place, the person will be bored. And when the person comes to do explanations, the person might be found wanting. I'm not mentioning names. I'm not making any attributions. I'm only saying this to guide the future that put drivers in driver positions and put policy persons in policy positions. Number two is that I think that Joy FM should have micro versions of this conversation in the studio. So your next week Saturday, as an example, you can have a finance-specific conversation. The following week, you can have an export-specific conversation. Tease them out bit by bit by bit. And I think when you do that, it'll be great. And that's my 1 minute. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jesse Ejapon, marketing consultant. And thank you, Chief Mumin. Yeah, 1 second. Yes.
For a happy
yes.
We'll
be very remiss.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, so we like to wish Osaje for that his dream is still alive. There are still people who identify with his vision and his legendary status. Francis Doku referred to him even in his keynote 8.5 address, and we only hope that future generations would take over from where he left. So yes, salute to the great
Osaje for.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chief Mumin, and thank you, Professor Ali Duseidu. Thank you, Jesse Ejapon, and then to you, Austin, the controversial Wood, and Apia Sign Solomon. It's been great having you right here on Showbiz A to Z Joy 99.9.